This is 5 licks to play over the Guns N' Roses song, November Rain. Great song, great solo at the end of that song, some really cool ideas. And basically the structure of that solo at the end is Slash plays this really cool melody line, and then he plays a lick after it. Now that main melody line, what I mean by that is this. Slash plays something like that, and he plays a lot of different variations of that basic lick, but the idea is you play that and then you play one of these licks, and each one of these 5 licks that I'm about to show you fit with that structure. Play the melody and then play the lick. All the licks themselves are in the C minor scale. There's a couple outside notes, but it's basically the C minor scale all the way through. So for the structure of this lesson, the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to play that one main melody lick, and then I'm going to get into the 5 licks. And again, all those 5 licks are all in the C minor scale using different techniques. There's some that are really bluesy, just kind of using the pentatonic basic ideas. There's some big legato pull-off licks that go all the way down the neck. So a lot of cool ideas to pull out of this lesson. So let's get into the melody line and then let's get into the licks. So there is that main melody line. Let's go over this note by note here. So again, the idea here is when you're jamming over this solo, you play this melody line or a variation of it, and then you get into one of those 5 licks that I'm going to show you after this. So got to learn this lick first. This is actually using the C harmonic minor scale. And I'm not going to go into that too much, but basically the C minor harmonic scale means that it's the C minor scale, but the 7th of the scale is raised a half step, so it's the major 7th. So it is basically the B note instead of the B flat note. So there's your theory lesson for the day. But basically the lick starts off on the 19th fret up here, and we bend up a half step. Then hit 19 again, bend back down. A little vibrato. And then and make sure when you hit that bend to hit that half note, half bend really accurately. It's going to sound not great if you bend it up a full step. So watch that bend. The next note is the 20, and then bend up a full step. So far we have this. Then we do 20, 19, 20. Then on the second string, 20, 18, 20. And I'll point out the 19th fret on the first string right there. That is the major 7th of C. That's the B note. That's what makes this a harmonic minor scale. So if it was a minor scale, it would sound like something like this. Harmonic minor sounds like this. There's the major 7th, a very unique sound. So that's what gives this lick that unique flavor there. So the next note is bend up on the 20, half step. Again, watch that bend. And then we do a quick 20, 18, 20. So let's play through this lick a couple more times at a slow speed. All right, there's the first lick, and let's break this down. So some cool pull off hammer patterns in here with some neat timing ideas. So the first few notes, we're doing a quick 13, 15, 16 hammer on the second string. And just to review, it's going to sound like this. When you play that melody with this lick, it's going to sound like this. So that's how those two licks fit together. So that's where this 3-note pattern picks up, is right after that melody. So just 13, 15, 16 hammer on. That's a 16th note triplet. And then we get into a 16th note pattern. It goes like this. Now that little pattern, that little piece is 13, pull off 15, 13, then 16 on the second string. So, and then the next 4 notes is 13 again. I'm starting this with an upstroke, pick down on the 16 on the second string, and then pick up on the 15 and pull off to the 13. So that whole first 8 notes after that first triplet is this. So again, so far we have this. Then we get into another hammer pull section, and it sounds like this. So a little bit of unique timing there. It's not straight 16th notes. There's a 32nd note in there. So starting on the 15th fret on the second string, playing with my third finger and picking down, we then do a 16, 15 pull off, and that's a 32nd, and then pull off to the 13, and then land on the 15 on the third fret. So slowly, that part sounds like this. And then the next 4 notes is 15, 13 pull off, and then pick both notes on the third string, 15, 13. So the last half of that first bar is this. So far we have this. So we got so far. Now we are pulling off 11 to 8, and then hammering on 9, 11. So we're moving down a little bit on the neck, and let me play this first group of notes really quick. It's like this. So that's 9, pull off to 8, then hammer back up to the 9, then back up to the 11, then pull back off to the 8. Really nice hammer pull pattern there. Then we do 10, 8, pull off on the third string, and then land on 10 on the fourth string. Then we slide 8 to 7 on the third string, pull off 10, 8 on the fourth string, then 10 on the fifth string, and then 8 on the fourth string. So that last little section is. And the whole second bar of this lick is this. And that's the lick. So let's play through this a couple more times at a really slow speed. there's the next lick. Let's break this one down, and before I break it down, let's actually play it with the melody lick. If I was to play it with the melody lick, it would sound like this. Really pentatonic, basic blues lick here, a lot easier than the first lick. So we're first bending up, and we're in this position in the C minor scale, the basic position starting at the 8th fret. Bending up on the 11th fret on the 2nd string. We wait an eighth note count before we begin the note, so it's like, and we hold that note for 1.5 beats. So before we get into the next part. So, and then we get into the pull off section here. So starting on the 8th fret on the 1st string, we play this 16th note pattern. And then we play this 16 note pattern. So together it's like this. And that whole first section is this. Now that pattern is 8. I pull off with my 4th finger from 11 to 8 and then hammer back on. Then upstroke on the 1st string. And then downstroke, pull off 10-8. And then 11 on the 2nd string. So cool little repeating lick there too, right? And then the second bar, really similar. We're kind of descending down the scale now. Starting in the 8th fret on the 1st string. 11-8 pull off. So. Then 11-8 pull off. And then this bend up on the 10, bend back and pull off. So. That's the second bar. So let's play through this entire lick a couple more times at a slower speed. So there's the next lick. Obviously this is a big legato lick, a lot of pulls and hammers in this one. But if you got the pulls and hammers down, this isn't too bad to play. If this is difficult for you to play, this is a really good exercise, this lick. There's a lot of basic hammer pull technique in this lick. So we're basically doing this pattern first, starting up in this position up here where it's 11, 13, 15 on the 1st string. This is the pattern. That's start on the 15, pull off to the 11, hammer onto the 13. So, and then the next 3 notes is 15, 13, 11. So it's like this. I'm going to be a few more minutes. So there's the next lick. Let's break this one down. There's obviously a lot of hammers and pulls in this lick. Although if you have hammers and pulls down, if you're able to play those pretty well, this lick isn't too bad. It's not too difficult. If this is difficult for you, this is actually a good first legato lick like this to learn, because the pull-offs are actually pretty basic. So they're fast, but the movements themselves are pretty basic. So it's a really good exercise if you're just starting to get the hammer-on, pull-off technique down. So first, let me walk through the pattern here, because there's the pattern that is used through the first 3 beats to this lick. So Starting on the 15, 13, 11 fret up here, this region, here's the pattern, 6-note pattern. Slowing that down, it's 15, 11, then 13, and then 15, 13, 11. So like this. If you're having trouble with that, you want to just practice that little 6-note lick over and over again. The secret there to good hammer and pull off technique is pulling down when you pull off the string. So a quick, precise movement that's down, not up from the string, not just releasing it from the fretboard, but actually pulling the string down towards the ground. That's how you're able to only pick once and then hear the note clearly throughout. But that's the pattern, and we play that same basic lick, we just move down the scale 3 times. So it sounds like this. Slowing down, it sounds like this. So it's the same pattern, it's the same 6-note pattern, we're just moving it down the scale. A really simple idea to play legato like that all over the fretboard. We're just moving down the scale. So after this first 6 notes, we move to the 13, 11, 10 area and play the same 6-note lick. Then we move down another 6 notes, another position in the scale, and play the 6-note pattern there. That's the 11, 11, 10, and 8 position. So it's like this. Now we get into where a different type of pattern where we're basically sequencing down the scale. So let me play through the next 12 notes here so you can see what it sounds like. So it's a different pattern, but it's a pattern. We're starting on the 10th fret on the first string, pull off to 8 and then 11. Then we start on the 8th fret and then pull off 11, 9 on the second string. So we're basically just going down 3 notes, starting at the next note down on the scale, going down 3 notes, starting at the next note down on the scale, going down 3 notes. So we repeat that just down to the 10th fret on the 3rd string. So it's like this. And that's another great pull-off idea, playing a sequence down the neck. You can get a lot of cool licks out of that too. So between the first idea, where we're playing one legato pattern and we're just moving it down a position each time we play it, to the sequence descending lick, those are 2 really great ideas that you can take a long way. Great ideas to take out of this. And then the last 2 notes of the lick are that, just 8, bend up the 11, and then this little bend pull off at the end. You can also just hit the 8 there. So bend up on the 10, bend back, and then 8 on the 3rd string. So that's it. Let's play through this entire lick a couple more times at a slower speed. So there's the next lick. Let's break this one down. This one, we're starting in that middle C position, that C in the kind of middle of the neck, and we're working our way down low, but a lot of the same ideas as in previous licks. So the first part of the lick is this. We have that little 30-second note pull off. We had this a couple licks ago. So really slow, it's like this. So it's 11, and then when you pull off 13, 11, it's the fourth to the second finger, that's fast. And then pull off 10, and then land on 13, the second string. So then a straight 16th note pattern, 4 notes. That's just 10, 13, 11, 9 on the second string. So far it's this. Then we do that same 30-second. Actually, this one's a little bit faster. So there's a few fast notes in here. So let me play through this one. It's like this. Now that lick is basically you start off on the 11th fret, and when you pull off 13, 11, 9, and 8, you're playing that fast, and you're landing on the 10 on the third string. So it's, and for me to get this timing down and this pull off, it helps me to include the next 4 notes in the lick, which is 10, 8 on the second string, pull off 10, 8 on the third, then slide down to the 7. So to get the timing right, it helps me to include that lick. So that whole section is this. It helps me get the timing to play those licks together, but that's it. Let's play it through slowly, just that one section. So a really fast pull-off section there. But a really cool sound. And then the last few notes, we're doing a pretty quick position shift down here. So this part's tough, but we play this, and then we play this. Same basic pattern when we were down here. So 7, pull off fast, 8, 7, and then pull off to the 5, and then land on the 8 on the 4th string. Pull off 8, 5, then slide down to the 3, then 6, 3, pull off on the 5th, then land on the C, the 5th fret on the 3rd string. So that last group of notes in the second bar is this. So that's it. Let's play through the lick a couple more times at a slow speed. So there's the last lick. Let's break this one down. There's a lot of cool ideas in this too. This is another type of lick where we're taking one pattern, one little sequence, and we're playing it in different places. So this is another example of using that technique and coming up with a really cool lick out of a very simple idea. So the first thing we're doing here is we're doing a 6-note pattern like this. Really simple pattern. So that's 8, 10 on the first string, 8, 10, 8. And then land on the 11 on the second string. So maybe just practice that one little part. Easy, fairly easy lick to play fast. Then we get into another sequence lick, and this one sounds like this. 6-note pattern. That's starting on the 8, pulling off 11, then 9, and then 8, and then hammering back up. So combining those two things together, you get that, right? So you got this pattern, And then you got this pattern. Really cool idea. In the next part of the lick, we're just playing that same, we're doing that same basic idea, we're just moving down a set of strings. So, same idea, that is 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, pull off, and here I'm landing in the 11th on the 3rd string actually, which is a blues note. Just to mix things up a little bit. But it's the same pattern. This is the same pattern as same exact lick. It's just moved down 2 strings. And then the next lick is the same as the other previous sequence we saw. So this right here. That's 8, 11, 10 on the 3rd string, pull off to 8, then hammer back on 10, 11. So that's that part of the sequence. So all together, let's play through it slowly. The first bar of the lick, that first set of 4 little licks is like this. That's it. Some really cool ideas to take away from there. In a lick that's pretty easy to play very fast. The last 8 notes is this. That's just a basic little pentatonic bluesy lick. 8, 11, 8, pull off, and then land on the 10. And then 11 on the 2nd string. Or 9th fret rather, 8th fret. Slide down to the 10 when you pull off there to the 8. It's 10, 8 on the 3rd string, 10 on the 4th string, and then land on the 8 on the 3rd string. So the last 8 notes again is this. And the whole lick, a couple more times through at a very slow speed, is this.